So in today's video, I'm going to talk about Max Scherzer potentially being traded to the New York Mets in the division. We're going to talk about Byron Buxton and the Minnesota Twins not reaching an extension. And we're also going to talk about the latest on Jose Berrios that the Padres and Dodgers, both NL West teams, have inquired on getting Jose Berrios at the 2021 MLB trade deadline. So that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. But before I get into this video, 92% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So go ahead, get your life together, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like on this video. Subscribe, turn notifications, and leave a like. And let's go ahead and get into this video. So we're going to start off with Max Scherzer to the Mets. We saw Saturday that Max Scherzer is being discussed in potential trades. Now, I think that it's good for the Nationals if Max Scherzer traded. I know that they won the 2019 World Series, and Max Scherzer was a big part of that. And there's a certain part of, attachment to the fans of Max Scherzer and just Nationals fans, period, because of Max Scherzer and that playoff run. They've really got an attachment to Max Scherzer, and he's been there for a long time. But it's time to get rid of him. And it's time to get rid of him and consider that you just do not have a chance of winning this year. Like the Mets, Braves, and Phillies are the three teams that are contenders. That are contenders in the NL East. And they're just simply not one of those. The Nationals are fourth place right now with a 45-53 record. 3-7 in their last 10. They're on a 4-game losing streak. The Nationals are not a legitimate contender. And we kind of knew that coming into the season, that they were a little bit of a contender. But Juan Soto has been great since the All-Star break, but he was not good in the first half, and that hurt them quite a bit. Not to mention that Strasburg looks like one of the worst contracts in baseball. People need to start talking about that contract as being one of the worst in baseball because it simply is one of the worst in baseball. That's a bad contract, and people are not talking about it. It's not a good contract at all. Steven Strasburg is not. And I know that Mike Rizzo, their GM, really is committing to winning a lot. And I like GMs like that. I like GMs that do that. But I also like GMs that understand when they're not going to make the playoffs. And this year's one of those. Trade Max Scherzer, and you could get those assets for him, and you could possibly re-sign him if you really like it in Washington. Max Scherzer does. That would be a perfect scenario, obviously. But that's more of what they should do because I think that it's time to part ways with Max Scherzer. I don't think that it's time to part ways with a Trey Turner or a Juan Soto. Josh Bell's been super disappointing this year, who they picked up in the offseason. But I think it's time to get rid of some of these bullpen arms, too. One team had – I saw a rumor that had I think it was the Blue Jays that wanted some of the Nationals pitchers like Hand and Hudson. Hand is only on a 1-year deal. He's a guy who could be traded. He's 31 years old. He's a guy who could be traded. Daniel Hudson's a guy that the Blue Jays actually traded. Hudson's another guy that both of those guys could have a lot of value. Even a Wander Storio could have a lot of value on the trade market. And that's why I think they should sell at the deadline. Schwarber's on the injured list. They were playing some of their best baseball, which Schwarber was hitting really, really well. And he's not because he's on the injured list. So for this Nationals team, I think it's time. Now let's go ahead and talk about for the Mets. The Mets obviously need starting pitching. They just traded for Rich Hill from the Tampa Bay Rays a couple days ago. And yeah, it's known that they're looking for rental pitchers at the deadline. That's what they're looking for. They just want rentals. So a guy like Danny Duffy, a guy like Max Scherzer, just any guy that's on a 1-year deal is a guy that the Mets are basically interested in. Any guy on a 1-year deal, which totally makes sense. But if you look at that starting rotation, I thought of, oh my gosh, Scherzer and DeGrom and Stroman in a 3-game series, there's no way you're hitting that. No way. This Mets team, yes, they may not have the hitting, but that pitching staff is absolutely disgusting. There is absolutely no way that any team is going to be able to hit off Scherzer, DeGrom, and Stroman in a 3-game series. That's dangerous. I think that one of the best teams right now as far as pitching goes for the starting pitching and is built for the playoffs is the Milwaukee Brewers, especially if they do get some hitting at the trade deadline. Then I think that the Mets, if they get Scherzer, it's going to be really, really hard to beat them in the NL East, whether their hitting's bad or not. I think that they should prioritize hitting with how underperforming their hitting's been this year. But I don't really think that their starting rotation is too much of a need here. I know that they've had a lot of injuries this year, but Carrasco is going to be coming back. He's on rehab right now with their single A advanced team, the Brooklyn Cyclones. And you've also got Syndergaard, who's going to be coming back. Now, I wouldn't expect a ton from Syndergaard when he comes back. I don't think that Scherzer is the biggest need, not to mention the fact that the Nationals and Mets, just do not think are going to trade between each other in division. That absolutely does not seem anywhere near realistic to me. I just do not think that it will happen. And plus, if the Mets are looking for rotation help, they probably would look more towards a left-hander, considering that the only left-hander they would have would be Rich Hill, who's probably like their sixth starter. So I would look for more of a lefty there. But I still think that Max Scherzer, it's a big wish. It's not going to happen, I don't think, especially within the NL East. I don't think it's going to happen. Just my personal opinion that. So let's go ahead and go to the Twins are unable to reach an extension with Byron Buxton. Now, I kind of said this was what was going to happen. It was the $73 million offer that they offered him, and it just did not happen like I expected. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected this to happen, and it didn't happen. So Byron Buxton and the Twins are unable to reach an agreement. So the thing is, he'll probably be traded at the 2021 MLB trade deadline, just as they should. They don't really want to pay him. That's kind of the deal right now. They just don't want to pay him, and $73 million is a lowball offer. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But for the Twins, I mean, Byron Buxton is a big piece of your team. Like, he could be the centerpiece. Like, you've got to pay this guy a lot of money. And I would have paid him $100 million if I could over 5 years. Yes, you've got injury problems, but still, I would pay him that just because of how good of a player he is. I would pay him $20 million a year. And if that doesn't work out, then, I mean, it could either be the biggest deal or it could be looking like a dumb contract. So for the Twins, it's probably going to be a trade. The Phillies are the favorites right now to get Byron Buxton if he's traded. And I think that you should consider the Braves in there too. But, I mean, an outfield of Buxton, Acuna, and the Braves have money to pay him because of how cheap Acuna's contract was. Like, obviously, the Braves are my favorite team, so I'm going to hype it up a little bit. But, like, still, that could be pretty realistic. They have the prospects, too. They could give up a Langoliers or William Contreras. They probably need to get rid of one of those catchers anyways. At least they do, in my opinion. The Phillies, like I said, they would make a lot of sense, too. Their farm system's only getting better from these recent drafts. The 2020 draft was good for them. The 2021 draft was good for them. Their farm system is getting much improved. And, I mean, some other teams, maybe the Mets are in on Buxton as well. He could be another bat, and he could play a good center field. They do need some center field help. Milwaukee's always an interesting team that could be in on a Byron Buxton. I mean, Yelich has never really showed up this year. Never showed up from 2019, really. So the latest on Jose Berrios is that multiple teams, including the Padres and Dodgers, are wanting and discussing a deal on getting Jose Berrios with the Minnesota Twins. And the Mets are not one of those clubs. I'm sure you wondered that, and they're not. So the Padres and the Dodgers. So if we're going between the Padres and Dodgers prospects here, the Padres have the better offer to the Twins. It's simple enough. I think it Brims is an overpay here. Like, I'm not a big fan of Jose Berrios. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I'm not. I don't think that this is the number one in a rotation, not the number two in a rotation that's going to win the World Series. Like, if you put him in that Dodgers rotation, like, he's not better than Kershaw. He's certainly not better than Buehler. And I don't think he's better than Urias either, as that number three. And who knows what's going to happen with Trevor Bauer. Rumors said today that the Dodgers do not want him back. But that's besides the point. Jose Berrios to the Padres. Let's go ahead and talk about that. The Padres made the move of Adam Frazier yesterday, getting him. And we know how the Padres love their pitching. They went out and splurged last offseason for Blake Snell. And that's looking like a really bad trade right now. Just going to keep it simple. So that's looking like a bad trade. They got Musgrove. That trade's actually really been a good trade for them. And Clevenger, obviously, has got Tommy John surgery. He's not going to be back this year and probably is going to miss some next year as well. Lamet is always injured. And yeah, they do need another starting pitcher because, like, even when all those guys are healthy, like you've got Darvish, Paddock, Snell, Musgrove, and Weathers, like you definitely need another rotation arm there. You definitely could. Berrios, though, I think if you slot him in at number 3, then in that rotation, then that's pretty decent. But I'm just not a big fan of Jose Berrios. I think that the Padres definitely could make a deal for him. I mean, I think that that would be a good trade for the Padres. I think that it would help them a lot. I think it would. I think it would be a pretty solid trade for the Padres. You're going to have to give up some prospects to get him. The asking price is going to be pretty high, like it's already been said to be. And if I'm a Padres fan, I'd say that I don't want to see them give up a Gore and a Brams. Campesino, I don't really think so. Like maybe Justin Lange is the first guy who's in rookie ball right now. He's a righty. He's a number 5 prospect, or Reggie Lawson. I don't think that a guy like CJ Abrams is totally worth it, and I think that the Twins would love to have a guy like him. But I just don't see it. Like, I don't see why you would give up that, considering, like I said, that you've got Mackenzie Gore there waiting to come up. And yes, like obviously a rookie is not going to make a huge impact his first year, but still, he's 0-2 with a 5 ERA in 6 starts this year, and with their AAA team, the El Paso Chihuahuas. And yeah, so I think that you're definitely going to have to give up a pretty big haul. But for the Padres, it may just be even more motivation to get him, just because you get him away from division rival and rival period, the Los Angeles Dodgers. You get him away from the Dodgers, that's a motivating thing right there. The Dodgers, a lot of their farm system has came up already. And they still do have a pretty decent farm system. I rank them toward the bottom in their farm system. But you've still got Keibert Urias, who might be a guy that's traded. Like, they may have to trade their number 1 overall prospect here. They're certainly going to have to trade a top 5 prospect here to get it. Like, what would the Twins be looking back for in a trade here? They're probably looking for pitching, and the Dodgers pitchers usually do have something really good with them. So maybe a Bobby Miller at number 5, or even a Josiah Gray could be there too. There's a lot of interesting guys who the Dodgers could give up here. I don't think that they're going to be interested in really giving up anybody on their major league roster. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really see them realistically giving up anybody on their major league roster. So yeah, the Dodgers could make a trade for Jose Berrios, definitely. I mean, I think there's definitely some other teams that could be in on him. I think the Rays could be still. They said that they got rid of Rich Hill because they had Luis Patino and Chris Archer, who were going to come up and fill some rotation spots. So that's interesting. Everybody's going to talk about the Yankees and Jose Berrios. I don't think so. Everybody's going to talk about the Blue Jays as well. The Blue Jays could definitely use a guy like a Berrios. I mean, a team like the Mets, I'm surprised they're not interested in him. So, yeah, I mean, even the Giants maybe. The Giants could be. But I think the Giants are going to go for a bat. So, yeah, those are the rumors that I'm going to talk about today. There's going to be another latest MLB trade rumors video coming out right before the deadline on Thursday. So make sure you check out for that video and like the video. Subscribe to the channel and turn notifications because, like I said, 92% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed. So go ahead, get your life together, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace.